wonders who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing. This is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hey, welcome. We are counting down the top 10 things that made us go
wow.
I am Fenton Bailey, co-founder at World of Wonder, joined by our Chief Creative Officer, Tom Campbell.
Hello, Fenton. Excited to be here. Good week.
You
Good
are.
week.
I am. We're both. Yes. And James and James.
How about you, James?
I'm excited to be here too. I'm very excited. It's a good day. It's a good day. I think so. Yes.
You're drinking Red Bull in celebration.
Here we go.
Let's see. Okay, so we're coming to you live-ish from the heart of Hollywood in our street side studio. It's just had a little bit of a makeover. We've put this kind of cling film on the windows. If you're watching on Wow TV,
It's blurry. I feel like I'm drunk. I feel like
Say what you said before we started.
I feel like it's like we steamed up the windows, like I'm in a bathhouse or something.
And Blake, what did you say?
I said, you
bathhouses don't have windows.
No, there's
James was classy. It's more like spaz.
They do. They're frosted.
I thought they were just blacked out.
This is great radio for people listening.
So without further ado, let's count down the top 10 things that made us go
Wow.
this week.
Number 10.
Tom.
I took a few days off to be in New York last week, and I saw, I think, the second night of a show that was off Broadway that's now on Broadway, and it's Torch Song.
I am so excited to hear about this. I love Torch Song Trilogy.
Formerly known as Torch Song Trilogy, which was Harvey Fierstein's breakthrough Tony-winning performance and drama from 1983 originally.
So is this the first revival?
I think there was one in London a while ago, and this was off Broadway earlier this year, but was such a huge hit that they moved it to Broadway to the Helen Hayes Theater.
It was Matthew Broderick's breakout. Remember,
Right.
he was in the Broadway and then on the movie as well.
And the current one, of course, stars Michael Urie and Mercedes Ruehl. But
I love Michael Urie.
But what happened to the trilogy? That's what,
Well, it ran for a long time. Harvey Fierstein came in for this new production. It's now in 2 acts, but it still is sort of two acts, but it sort of has 3 sections. But talk about, I want to flash back because I saw the original Torch Song Trilogy in 1983 with Harvey Fierstein. I was still in college.
Birth of a Nation.
Yeah, I snuck away to New York for the second time in my life. This time to be with my older lover that I had told none of my classmates or my parents about, Tom, and he introduced me to the New York Theater. And I went to see La Cage aux Folles, and his friends produced it. And went backstage.
What a great year that was, 83.
And I saw Torch Song Trilogy, which was 83 was the beginning of the horror, the unknown of AIDS. And
but
here
there was still a little bit of the 70s that was going on.
Yes, it was. Yes, but I'm just saying, in terms of like the political atmosphere and the fear about being gay, we were starting to burst through, and we were being drawn back. And Torch Song Trilogy is about when Harvey Fierstein, overweight, gay as can be, drag queen, and dealing with his life and prejudice and self-loathing, and it's a comedy. You laugh and you cry so much. And Michael Urie does a totally different kind of interpretation, and brilliantly. It's so worth seeing.
Wait, is Michael Urie the
Michael
Harvey,
Urie
the Harvey
is the Harvey Fierstein part.
What? He's too young.
He is. He's
a brilliant actor.
You get over that immediately.
Okay.
It's not a carbon copy, but it speaks. It's funny how things 35 years ago and acceptance and all that kind of stuff has the same resonance today.
Is it set in 1983?
It is set in the past.
Okay, yeah.
And but it resonates so much. A couple of things feel. There's a back room scene. It's a revolutionary play that holds up with time, and you must see it, because forgetting about the plot and my sociological things, you will laugh like you have not laughed. You will cry, all in the same spectrum of time. Michael Urie's brilliant. I didn't get a chance to go back and see him. We know him. He was on RuPaul's Drag Race.
The Cellar.
Buyer Cellar with my friend John
Toya.
I tried to get myself backstage with my friend Johnny. We had to leave, and he sent me a message, and I love you, Michael Urie, on Facebook saying, "Sorry you couldn't make it backstage, but I heard your laugh. It was very gratifying."
It's true. true. It's true. You do have the most amazing laugh. So it's been rewritten, sort of thing.
It just was consolidated a little bit.
Retooled a little bit, just streamlined.
Yes, and it's so poignant and it's so beautiful and so well
There's
acted.
so many of the lines that I still remember from it, and I remember the but not enough. The monologue he's giving about how he had the deaf boyfriend who.
I don't know if that still made it in or not.
Oh,
I was
dear.
2 minutes late because it started at 7:30 and not 8. Oops.
Oh dear.
But the one of the great lines he says is that a drag queen is like an oil painting. They look better from a few feet away. You can stand back to really get it in.
I think we all can relate.
There's great reviews in the New York Times. You don't trust me. It's an amazing show. If you're in New York or headed to New York, please go see Torch Song with Michael Urie and Mercedes Ruehl. Mercedes Ruehl is so amazing. Oh, and the last thing, the original one. Do you know who played Mercedes Ruehl, the mother character? First time we'd ever really known who she was. Estelle Getty.
Oh, really?
That was her big breakthrough. From there, she
And
went
wait,
to
who
Golden
plays
Globes.
In 83?
Yeah.
And who plays the Matthew Broderick role?
I forget the guy's name, but
Is he cutie?
he's good. He's really good.
Okay.
So it's at the Hayes Theatre, 240 West 44th Street, through February 24th of 2019.
Hayes Theater, Don.
And
And if you're a man, because there's a lot of gay people there, the bathroom lines are really long in the men's room. So get in the women's room.
Is it a hot scene in the bathroom? Is it like a...
None of that.
Number 9.
James, darling, what have you got for us at number 9?
Oh, I'm so excited to be talking about this one, you guys. I've been watching The Bodyguard on Netflix.
I want to watch
It's
that.
just
Okay.
It's just Bodyguard, I think.
Okay,
Not
just
the-
Bodyguard. This is
oh.
not the Whitney Houston Kevin
Okay, I'm
Costner from
checking
the
out.
90s. Okay, this is a BBC series,
Bodyguard.
Bodyguard, that has gotten the UK all up. It's everyone's going up in foam and thunder over this, darling. It's just it is the biggest thing since Peaky Blinders. It is just everyone is going absolutely bananas for this. It stars Richard Madden, who was the gorgeous doomed King of the North in Game of Thrones.
Okay.
He is a soldier back from Afghanistan. He is sort of saves the world, and he's been assigned to. He's a bodyguard, and he's been assigned to protect the the Secretary of Homeland Defense, who is sort of a Theresa May type character, is what I gather. She's a conservative firebrand. She's
So why bother? Feels like it's over before it begins.
well, ideologically, they are very far apart, and yet she's sort of a sexy Theresa May.
Yeah.
She's very hot, and they embark upon a passionate affair, and he's having to save her. And there are these amazing set pieces where he's saving London and doing this and action packed and everything. It's absolutely fabulous.
So it's a bit Bondy? Is that what it is? James
Well,
Bond?
that's the thing. I'm glad you mentioned that because people are saying now that this has put him as the front runner to take over as Bond because he's absolute. I mean,
I thought Idris Elba, the sexiest man alive.
Not even close. Not even close. And because people were saying that Kit Harington had a part, and maybe Tom Hiddleston was up for it, and everything. There were a bunch of front runners, but it looks like Richard Madden.
So the
I
rumors
guess.
of Melissa McCarthy being the next Bond, not so true.
No, but Richard Madden, see, the thing about him is he's absolutely gorgeous, and he has these thighs. Can I tell you?
I
these
love a good
I love
thigh.
a rugby build.
But anyway, he's got these thighs. Have I mentioned his thighs? I did. He's,
So you see him naked, I
You
suppose.
do, yes. And
Thighs are even better in pants, I think.
oh,
Does he wear suits? What does he wear?
Just big suit, really nice suits, just wonderful suits. Suits for your nerves, darling.
God, how many episodes?
It's only like 6 or 7 episodes, I think.
That's what we do in Britain. It's just
Yeah,
a few.
it's
We
few,
don't-
but like I said, everybody in the UK is going absolutely bananas for this.
Have you seen the whole thing?
I haven't. I'm stuck in the middle right now because I was going back and forth with a couple other things. But his acting is it sort of consists of staring off into the middle distance a lot.
That works.
It works because he's got these wonderful blue eyes.
So it's about the eyes
and
the thighs.
the eyes, and that's my review.
The thighs of Laura Mar.
The thighs have it.
Bodyguard, currently streaming on Netflix. And while you're on Netflix, make sure to check out Dancing Queen.
Of course.
Melissa
Yeah,
Edwards.
streaming now.
Number 8.
James, I too was watching Netflix.
What did you see?
Have you noticed I haven't given you a hard time about Netflix?
Well, it's good because
It's
I've got
early.
2 more
It's
coming.
early.
I watched the final season of House of Cards.
The whole thing.
Well, I'm a little stuck. I'm a little stuck. But what I did is, we all know what happened. End of season 5.
Yep.
Claire Underwood, Robin Penn Wright, turns to the camera and says, "My turn." And then, of course, all hell breaks loose. While before season 6 comes on,
Me Too happens.
Kevin Spacey is fired, written out. So what was going to be a final struggle for power between Claire and what's his name? Frank. Claire and Frank ends up. There's no Frank. And they had to rewrite the whole thing. They had 11 episodes.
How did they do it?
Did
they do it with is it very facile?
They did something that is really interesting because Diane Lane and
love me some
God,
Diane.
who's the Talk Soup guy?
Joel
McHale.
No, the first one, Greg Kinnear.
Greg Kinnear.
I always forget his name. They're a new couple. They suddenly arrive on the scene with unprecedented powers. They seem to have the presidency by the balls, but we've never seen them in the entire season.
Are they lobbyists? What are they?
I think what they felt they needed to, they're sort of unexplained. They're brother and sister, although it feels husband and wifey. It's a little bit, and they're super powerful. And it seems as if they basically just control everything. And they're sort of lobbyists or they run some company. It's all sort of a bit weird. And I suppose what they did is they thought, oh shit, now we don't have Kevin Spacey for Robin to spar against. We need some opposing force to challenge her. But it just comes completely out of nowhere. So I thought, God, did I miss some episodes? Because I have watched every single season of this.
You've been relentless.
I'm afraid so. And here's the other thing, is that I thought the first few seasons, actually all of 5 seasons, were incredible because there was a lot of staring off into space and you could just sort of luxuriate in Robin Penn Wright's sheer coldness. It was they weren't acting by waving their arms around and being all hysterical. It was all the sort of lack of action.
They were wearing monochromatic grays and sort of a nude brow.
It was very severe. It was very severe. It was austere. It's a bit like The Crown. That's the other reason I love it. They're sort of minimal in a weird, bizarre sense. Yeah. But this time, it just shows you that actually to pull that off, it needs to be really good. Yeah. It can't be just sort of so yes,
sloppily written,
so that when a guy gets on a treadmill and it has no significance whatsoever, it has no. Whereas before it would sizzle when someone gets on the treadmill and goes beep beep beep. This is like, what are
now
they
you're
doing?
Just following the calorie burn. You're just like 120.
Exactly. So I'm halfway through. I'm a little bit disappointed. The reviews are definitely mixed. I didn't even know it was out. It was just like one day I went to Netflix and there it was. Which I also think is a problem about Netflix in terms of eventizing what you're going to see. It's suddenly like a tsunami of stuff.
Right.
And what was the other problem with it? Well, then I basically read the New York Times spoiler to find out what happened to Frank Underwood. And I'm not going to tell you, but I mean he's dead. That's not a spoiler. Right. He's dead.
I have no idea what happened, but it would only be Shakespearean. And don't tell me if I'm right. If she had killed him somehow.
Well, of course she would be the prime candidate, wouldn't she?
I would think so.
But Chekhov's dictum says that you can't have those two people do it because the Chekhov's gun. You can't have introduce people.
Okay. Yeah, right. No.
Season 10.
Not Diane Lane. You can't do it.
Yeah,
but
Diane
I would
Lane
think
and
that.
Greg Kinnear. No.
Robin Wright, I'm saying.
It's very, and I will tell you this, it is unexpected who killed Frank Underwood. And maybe that's that's going to keep me
I think
going.
It's Mary Crosby. From Dallas, who ended up shooting JR. Bing Crosby's daughter, Mary Crosby. I think she did it.
Did you know
that was good?
Robin Penn Wright is the highest paid actress in television? Gets $500,000 to see an episode.
I thought it was Sofia Vergara. I thought everyone talks about her.
I thought it was Miss Ellen Pompeo, who's also an executive producer of Grey's Anatomy.
Well, maybe she's one of the highest paid people.
Yeah, good for her.
All right, so that's the final season of House of Cards streaming on Netflix. James, we're celebrating the 1-year anniversary of Wow Presents Plus.
What is Wow Presents Plus?
It's our streaming. I'm so glad you asked. It's our streaming service, and you can sign up at wow-presents.com, where you can watch brand new episodes of
right
with Trixie and Katya.
Yeah.
Also, you can watch the original lineup of shows, Wow Presents Plus, on our YouTube channel, which is just called Wow Presents, no plus. Just plain old Wow Presents. We'll be right back. This is the Wow Report. Hey, we got a question, right?
We do have a question. Who was the first gay actor to play an openly gay character in a series in American television history?
Oh. I think I know this one. You're listening to the Wow Report on Radio Andy SiriusXM. We'll have the answer right after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
Hey, welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton Bailey, your host with my co-hosts, Tom Campbell, James St. James, and of course, Blake.
Hi.
Hi, Blake.
So you were like testing us before the break.
Yeah. I want to know if you guys know who was the first gay actor to play an openly gay character in a series in American TV history.
Oh, see, because I was thinking, because I was going to say Billy Crystal and Soap, but obviously it can't
Not
be
gay.
that because he wasn't gay.
Oh,
And
I was going to say Steve Carrington in Dynasty, but then I guess he wasn't gay.
No, the other
either.
actor was gay in Dynasty.
Yeah, and then I was going to
It's
say
not-
Tony Randall in Love Sydney, but that's not.
I would say Jim J. Bullock in Too Close for Comfort, but I don't think he was
He
out.
wasn't gay. No.
It was Harvey Fierstein. He was when he was cast as an openly gay fashion designer in the short-lived sitcom Daddy's Girls in 1994.
Remember that
Pioneer
yeah.
Harvey Fierstein.
When
Thank
was
you.
that? When was it?
In the
1994.
Didn't last, but it was good for him.
Like Blansky's Beauties. Remember Blansky's Beauties?
I do. We'll talk about it off
Well, I immediately want. What is Blansky's I refuse to go on with the show until you
Was
tell
Pinky
me.
Tuscadero, right? Or was
I
she
think
in
so. It wasn't like the Lander sisters in it.
Yes,
or something?
Audrey and Judy
That's
Landers.
where I go.
love
It was
me
a-
some
it was
Landers
It's a
sisters.
tacky 70s sitcom that was so bad it's remembered to this day by a certain
certain two people.
who somebody gave a radio show to. I don't know why.
Number 7, Tom. We're counting down the top 10 things that made us go wow.
Number 7.
I bloom just for you.
That song. The words just like
I know
know-
self-loathing.
I suppose so.
I'm
It's
here.
like-
Does it upset you? Does it disturb you? Does it tickle you down in
It's
a
just
deep,
a metaphor
naughty
about
place?
secret gardens and fountains, and I've got so much to show. I
I-
call me old-fashioned. I'll shut up.
I love Troye Sivan.
Yes.
I have
I'm
known about.
conflicted. I'm conflicted.
You should have come with me and Theron
Okay.
to the Bloom tour at the Greek Theater. He is so charismatic.
Yes.
He has such a beautiful voice.
Yes.
He is in such command of his body. It's not like he's like a rocker in like, I don't want to call him Mick Jagger, but like his movements and his body, what
sort
he
of
wears.
young Jake Shears sort of has that same quality. Yes.
But he also is like, he's filled the Greek. It was an audience full of adoring fans.
And he has them.
He has them. He comes off as humble and sweet and smart.
Dude, those eyes. He really has just those big anime eyes.
He's
right?
so beautiful.
Yeah.
The music. I mean, it's amazing.
I've
very lush.
enjoyed the music, but where he caught my eye in a way, and I Brett McLaughlin, who we know, who works on RuPaul's Drag Race, also has written some of Troy's biggest hits.
Yes.
And I'm aware of Troy through that, and obviously the media. And I'm old, so it takes me a little bit longer than the kids today. But when he was on Saturday Night Live last year, and he did My, which is anthemic and incredible, and he was just like wild. I love that we live in an age where there is an openly gay
Yes.
performer who is, I don't think he's a twink, because I think he defies twinkdom. Twinkdom feels almost, and I'm not putting down twink thing at all, but it's sort of
Submissive daddy.
submissive,
yeah.
like he's in charge of his life. He just happens, at that age, you are that body type, and he's very slender.
Live.
Yes.
Androgyne.
He wore like
Yeah.
a black suit with like a see-through net shirt that was low scooped, and when he first came on, he had a suit that had like sort of like big wings on them, like just like it was just so beautiful. It was so masculine and feminine, and it was great stagecraft in terms of how it added to his. It wasn't like a big like woo, I've got wings. It was fashion, darling. It was fashion. He's also, and I haven't seen yet, I'm going to try to see this week for next week, Boy Erased, which he's in.
I want to see
Right.
that.
And he stopped for a moment, and he wrote the song. He and Brett wrote the song for that, and he stopped and sang it. It was this most like intense, beautiful ballad, and he just blew everyone away. I was blown away by the levels that Troy can deliver, and he's so young, and there's so much to look forward to. And
There is-
5-year veteran at 22, whatever he
Exactly.
is.
I mean, I think
I'm
there
just
is so
wondering
much
if there
left to
is
come.
something.
And I just want to shout out to Kim Petras, who I was aware of but had never seen, and she is also a superstar.
Someone
and
to watch,
and
someone
has
to
like an
watch.
80s vibe to her music that gives me goosebumps. I loved it. I had a great time.
I love her. I would have been at that concert had I known about it.
Yes.
I mean, I just
very
didn't
young
know.
trans icon.
I wish we talked off camera.
I know.
It'd be so cool to see.
If you talk to me.
I know, but I just pass you in the hall.
Troye Sivan's Bloom Tour wrapped up this week in Vancouver, which is, I'm sorry to say. But he'll be back, no question. Number 6, James.
Number 6.
Well, I did another Netflix thing. I'm sort of obsessed with the chilling adventures of Sabrina, the teenage witch, which has started streaming on Netflix. It's a darker take on the Archie Comics character.
Is it the same people that did Riverdale?
It's the same people that did Riverdale, and so there's a lot of the same sort of aesthetic going on there. It's based on a series of graphic novels that I think I talked about on the show here, where it's groundbreaking art. It's really, it's dark and it's sort of very stylized. It's hyper stylized and it's genuinely scary.
Oh.
So it's nothing like the ABC sitcom from the 90s with, who was in that?
Melissa Joan Hart.
Melissa Joan Hart and the wonderful
Carolyn
boy who played,
Ray.
Carolyn Ray.
But the boy who played Harvey Kinkle. Oh my God, I loved him so much. Oh my God. Anyway, this sort of puts Sabrina in league with, and sometimes at odds with Satan. There's a bunch of Satanists. It's very culty. She's half human, half witch. She's living with her aunts, Patty and Hilda, and there's a pansexual warlock who is her cousin Ambrose. He's very sexy. Sabrina is played by Kiernan Shipka from Mad Men. Okay, which we love. We love her.
She was John Hamm's daughter.
Yes, and it's set in some of this sort of decade blurring timeline where the clothes are very 60s, the cars are 50s, the TVs are 70s. Harvey has an iPhone. It's like we don't really know what's going on.
Sounds like my
It sounds like that movie It Follows. You know how you never knew like if it was hot or cold or like.
Right, and it's the same thing with like Gotham too. It's just this sort of mishmash of, but stylistically it works, and it's really beautifully done. As her 16th birthday approaches, Sabrina must choose between the witch world of her family and the human world of her friends. And her friends there's a friend who's either gender fluid or trans. We don't really quite know. It doesn't really say it. It doesn't really matter. Ross Matthews is Harvey Kinkle. Ross Matthews was the Disney star.
It's not Ross Matthews.
I'm so excited.
Oh my God. Ross Lynch is Harvey Kinkle, and he was the Disney star from Austin and Ally, and he was also in Teen Beach Movie, which I know I've gushed about.
You
here.
have gushed about.
I have gushed about, and he was also young Jeffrey Dahmer, so he's sort of someone to watch. There's a feminist spin. What?
I just love young Jeffrey Dahmer. Like he was also played young Jeffrey Dahmer. We all played that role at some point. in Severstock.
It's like Lear.
Don't talk about cannibals.
Not today.
But anyway, there's sort of an interesting feminist spin to this, where the witches are given powers in exchange for their freedom, and which Sabrina rebels against, and she wants both power and freedom, and so she's always sort of butting heads with Satan about how, because he wants her to submit to her, and she refuses to submit.
May I ask you what I think is probably the most important question you'll be asked today?
Yeah.
Is there a talking black cat in it?
No, well, she does have a cat, and it is for her familiar, but the cat does not speak, and people are furious about
Maybe
that.
it will in season 2.
Maybe it will in season 2. But cousin Ambrose, the pansexual warlock who she lives with, is also sort of, people think that he's sort of her familiar a little bit because he sort of slithers around the apartment, and he's very fabulous.
Okay.
Wow. Chilling Adventures of Sabrina the Teenage Witch streaming on Netflix. Hey, did I mention what else is streaming on Netflix?
You may have.
What?
Dancing Queen.
Oh, I love me some Alyssa Edwards.
The Chilling Adventures of Alyssa Edwards.
But for people who don't know, it's Melissa Edwards, drag queen from RuPaul's Drag Race, who is an incredible personality. You can just watch her read the phone book, and we have another series that does that. And then, but also runs a dance studio in Mesquite, Texas. So it's Dance Moms meets RuPaul's Drag Race, and it has amazing heart. And talk about feelings. You laugh and you cry and you see amazing
all the feels.
talent. Yes.
All of them.
But the Red Bull is sort of kicking
it's not
in
just
right
for
now.
drag queens. It's a fully realized.
It has the children beating the walls, Mom.
Thank you.
What did you say?
The children are beating the walls, Mom.
Oh, yes.
Is that an Alyssa-ism?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So at number 5,
Number 5.
Neither of you do podcasts, right? I'm alone in the podcast.
I only
space.
drive 10 minutes to and from work.
That's my problem too. I drive 7 minminutes.
Because I started doing podcasts, and now I drive to the office and I sit in my car for the next half hour.
I thought you were just crying.
That too. So Slow Burn Season 2. I talked about Slow Burn Season 1, which was revisiting Watergate and unearthing some of the fantastic episodes of that. This I am less on board for. It's the impeachment of Bill Clinton. And I'm not sure that is a story we really need to retell
now,
at this time, right now. And not because I'm like trying to censor or close anything down, but just because it creates this, by hook or by crook, by accident, whatever you're doing, it creates a false equivalency. You immediately start comparing Trump, who's also supposedly supposed to be under investigation for.
It's also demonizing somebody that by default you're demonizing Hillary for all the things.
You're saying that's what goes on in your head.
That's what goes on in my head.
That's not what the podcast is about.
Because the podcast
purely
set itself the rule that it would only focus on what happened then and not draw any comparisons with now.
But inevitably
they don't need to, because that's the only way you're going to approach it. And actually, Leon Nafak, who is the amazing host and everything of the show, he said that the reason he did it was that if he didn't do it, someone else would, and he didn't want to be jealous, which I don't think is a good enough reason. But, anyway.
It seems like there's enough stories out there that you could have found another one. I don't know.
You know what was interesting was to hear someone who I never thought I could have a shred of sympathy for, but was Linda Tripp.
Oh.
He gets her on the phone, and she finally.
She's always there by the phone. She's always willing to talk to the phone, that Linda Tripp.
She hasn't really spoken out in a long time.
Her life was ruined.
And you did. I know exactly right. You kind of hate her, and the heartbreaking thing was she says, out of all of this, the one person I wish I could get to understand what I did is
Monica.
And I know she won't.
Well, but she doesn't have to. Monica, I mean, she did what she did, and I think it's irreparably. I don't blame Monica for hating Linda Tripp.
Yeah. And her whole thing, of course, is that Monica was basically. I suppose what's come into
fall guy.
No, it's more like what's come into focus, I guess, is the whole Me Too movement and the imbalance of power that has become. Because at the time, one of the episodes is all about bedfellows.
Linda says that she was trying to address the imbalance of power, and that's why she did it.
Linda says she was just a girl. It was the most powerful man in the world and a little baby girl. Yeah. Like that was her. True, like if it was your daughter, was her thing. And Linda Tripp actually cries in this thing. But okay, I don't have you with that. And the other thing I thought was really interesting was the final episode, which was after this insane Ken Starr investigation that goes on for years and years, and then this disgusting report. Disgusting, not because the details themselves are disgusting, but the idea of publishing in that graphic detail whatever need it is you think there exists. It does not exist.
Haven't we learned that Brett Kavanaugh was one of the...
Exactly. Brett Kavanaugh worked on it. So many. That's what incenses me. Actually, also about this by this podcast refusing to draw parallels when so many of the key players are still present.
Yes.
And have just completely reversed their positions.
Right.
The Christian right, who was so morally incensed by the whole Clinton scandal, strangely quiet, etc.
They also think that Donald Trump is close to God, though. So.
Yes, they think he's the Word made flesh.
Yeah.
My
They
God.
are liars.
But
they say whatever is convenient.
But all that said, I thought really an interesting detail, and it was just a detail in the Starr report, was the story of Juanita Broderick, who claimed to have been raped by Clinton. And this came out at the end of the whole thing, and it was just a little appendix note. And it's amazing to me that actually when the whole world and everyone piled on Monica, who had a consensual relationship with the president, actually, this story is the one that could have been the sort of the lightning rod, and it sort of gets strangely sort of passed by. I thought it was absolutely fascinating, and I actually really did enjoy listening to her because she's such a conflicted character too.
Why do you think it was passed by, or what do they say?
Well, Monica was so
podcast?
compelling, and she was a sacrificial lamb,
Yes.
and she was just so pretty and young, and everyone latched onto her. Whereas Juanita probably was a little more problematic
In many, many senses, in the fact that she, having been raped, she never reported it. And then she even signed an affidavit saying she never had been raped. And then, like, a month later told the Ken Starr people that she had. But it was interesting to hear her speak because Who knows? But you just got a strange, empathetic feeling of an individual actually not trying to do the wrong thing, and not. It was a really, and it made the whole series almost. Since I was so cross that the whole series exists in the first place, so why am I even talking about it? I don't know.
Wow. Wow, Fenton. Wow.
Oh gosh.
Made me go up.
And interestingly, I just had one more little factor that I thought was interesting, was that after all that, you would have thought that in the midterms it would have been great for the Republicans. But actually, the public was so sickened by the whole thing, it was actually bad for the Republicans. And they lost 4 seats in the House and failed to make any gains in the
Well,
Senate.
let's see if that pertains to today as we move forward with
It
investigations.
really was a turning point for the Republican Party too, of just that sort of like taking on the moral,
Embracing.
and getting ickier and nastier and more vicious.
Yes, really just doing whatever it takes, destroying whoever they can
that
to
was-
get whatever result it is
Once
that they
Clinton got
want.
in office is really when that started.
Yeah. Okay, time for a quick break. I wanted to let you all know, however,
What?
about RuPaul's Drag Race Holly Slay Spectacular.
Oh, I can't wait for this.
8 queens will reunite and compete for the title of Drag Race Xmas Queen.
Yes.
Tom?
Christmas Queen. Christmas Queen.
Christmas-
It's
okay.
December 7th, the day that will live in infamy. It's a special. It's one-off. It is a must-see TV.
It is.
It's their first ever,
On
and it might be a
VH1.
musical. Mm-hmm. There, I said it.
I have a trivia question.
Let's have it.
What major historical event happened the day Monica Lewinsky was born? July 23rd, 1973.
Okay.
You're listening to the Wild World of Radio Andy, SiriusXM.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report.
And welcome back. You're listening to Wow Report on Radio Andy. I am Fenton here with Tom and James, St. James.
Hello, Fenton.
Yeah.
Yes,
And Blake.
Hi.
And we're really stumped by this one, right? July.
What major historical event happened the day Monica Lewinsky was born? July 23rd, 1973.
I don't think Nixon resigned in
I was going to say
73,
maybe it was Watergate broke.
but something happened. Maybe he wasn't impeached because he resigned. I'm
Was
wrong.
it the break-in?
The break-in was in 72 or 72, I think, because it was during the
Spyro
election.
Agnew resigned.
Okay.
It was the day that Richard Nixon became the first president in U.S. history to be subpoenaed.
Oh, that old thing. Now they're subpoenaed all the time.
Well, it was just weird because Slow Burn season 1,
Yes,
Watergate,
yes,
Slow Burn
yes.
season 2.
Right. I wonder what the slow burn people are going to do next.
The Wow Report, I think.
Hey, subpoenas are coming.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But anyway, we're counting down top 10 things that made us go,
Wow.
We have reached number 4.
Number 4.
Tom.
I was in the airport because, I went to New York to see some stuff. And I was checking out, probably buying candy, to be honest. And at the newsstand, which I don't even look, there was on the cover of Star magazine was Olivia Newton-John's picture and a little box of her in Greece. But so I had to buy it. I stopped and I was like, okay, I bought my candy, and I'm like, okay, I'll take this and I'll go. And then she said, that'll be $6.99. Star magazine, A, still exists. B, it costs $6.99. And then I took it to my chair. I would have brought it, but I lost it, which is why magazines are no good.
Wait, were you a little embarrassed to be reading it?
It was like I went into a time capsule back to like.
Just the idea of reading a magazine.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I say I hate books and magazines now because I'm losing my, I'm just getting middle aged with
It
my
doesn't
eyesight.
have the
Unless
backlight.
there's light glooming on my face, I don't want to. I just feel like I'm looking into a dark corner or something. And here was
like an old scroll.
Yes, yes. Or just like I'm in a dark room looking into a corner. Or
Pouring
lost.
over a medieval manuscript.
But it was like traveling in time. It just reminded me how, we get our gossip differently. I remember when I came to World of Wonder in 2006, it was going from magazines, which were still selling and people were buying ads in them, to like watch. It really was Perez Hilton that turned me on to the.
No, yeah, I was just thinking about Perez today. And
Yeah.
where is even a blog seems an
hold on,
old-fashioned
There-
thing.
there's just how dare you? He says to the blogger, the World of Wonder blogger. It just seemed antiquated and fusty and
Like an old Dead Sea Scroll.
yeah. There was this an article in Jezebel, I gotta say, about what happened to Michael Kay from Delisted.
Delisted.
Yeah, and they were
him.
saying about how the bloggers have all lost their power, and that in
Didn't
10
he fall
years
in
ago.
love or something?
No, he does
He's
podcasts
still there.
now. He still does
It's
it.
all
He does-
podcasts. It's from and here you are.
Exactly.
But the notion that that it was so powerful, that transition from magazine to now, I guess it's podcast, but it's also every major outlet has its own. Everything has its own gossip
Yes.
stuff, right? It's the
And now
mainstream.
I get notifications on my phone. You know,
Right.
like Mac Miller died. I got that notification.
Yeah. No. In fact, it is hard now for a magazine to exist
Yeah.
like something like us or People to have it and break news because it happens online so fast. And by the time you get your magazine, it's already been
Two questions. Did you feel you were getting fresh news reading style, or did it feel a little bit old?
Oh, yeah, tell us what the big scandals were. What was the big
I was
outrage?
very upset, because
Well,
it was
have you
Olivia
heard about
Newton-John.
Monica Lewinsky?
Yes.
Is Bat Boy still around?
Olivia Newton-John is doing a tell-all book. She finally can say it all, and of course I know everything about Olivia Newton-John. So I'm like, this is nothing. But it just the articles, the layout. I felt like someone had transported me back to my house in 1975, and I saw the wallpaper. It was this weird time capsule.
Is the language still that sort of 30s
Yes,
era?
a little bit. And I went online this morning because I really wanted to bring the magazine. I couldn't find it, and I went because there is a Star, online thing, and it felt like all of the articles are different online than they are in the magazine. So I'm wondering, is the magazine for old altarcockers who are going to buy an Olivia Newton-John cover? Thank you very much.
Altarcocker?
Is that the wrong word? How do you say
What
it?
is it?
I
I
don't
don't even
know.
know
It
what this
sounds
word.
great.
I love it.
I'm going to look it up in the break. Altarcocker, I think it was an old person. And then and the other stuff was all about the Kardashians. It was about, that Kourtney had to live through a dinner with Scott Disick and Sophia Richie and that kind of stuff. So it felt like it were two different magazines.
And my second question was, what candy bar did you buy?
I think I might have gotten
A Mounds?
Oh, I love them.
I do too.
Because I want to share about M&M's. The tsunami of new flavors.
It's the M&M's. Peanut butter M&M's. That's
the
another thing.
caramel.
The pretzel M&M.
What
The
about
caramel
the
M&M.
crispy mint, which has just won a flavor challenge?
Well, no, that's
Crispy
that's
mint.
one of you weird
I'm
British things.
often called a crispy mint, and so I would refuse to actually eat one.
That's a crispy twink.
Anyway, Star Magazine, it still exists. What do
Still
you
on
know?
newsstands. Go
What do you
get a copy today if you can afford it.
know? $7.
Number 3.
James,
I
number 3.
no, I don't.
James, are you okay?
No, I don't really drink Red Bulls. I'm having a crash right now. It's very strange. I
Get
had
the whipped cream.
I had all this energy, and now all of a sudden I'm getting a little nervous and shaky.
He checked the refrigerator behind reception, and all World of Wonder had in the refrigerator was Red Bull and whipped cream.
Another Friday at World of Wonder.
Exactly. And a third thing that I watched on Netflix this week, and I know you giggle, you laugh, but
Nothing funny about it.
This is really fascinating, though. This was a documentary called A Family Affair. It's a Dutch documentary from 2015.
Is it spoken in Dutch?
It is. There's
So it's
subtitles.
subtitled?
It's subtitled.
Okay,
I'm
that would be
sorry.
hard for my
I'm sorry.
brain.
There's a
dubbed?
There's a 95-year-old woman. She's the matriarch of a family. She has two sons, Dutch. One is a psychiatrist. The other is differently abled. He's sort of simple. He lives in a sort of a hoarding situation. And the other son sort of takes care of him. The psychologist has a son who's a documentary filmmaker, okay? The son gets an invitation from his grandmother one day to visit her alone at her home in South Africa. They live in Holland.
Hey, wait, is it a documentary or a movie?
It's a documentary.
Okay,
It's a
okay.
documentary. He doesn't know a lot about his grandmother because the family is estranged. And we get the sense that there's a lot of trauma in this family. And we know from the outset that years ago, the mother, abandoned her two children in an orphanage because she was a model and they were
Inconvenient.
They were inconvenient to her modeling career, and they were taking up too much of her time.
Now I'm into this story.
Okay, so she abandoned the kids, and it has sort of destroyed both sons in their own way. Each one of them has been completely destroyed, and the whole family dynamic is sort of like out of whack. And she tries to reclaim them at a certain point, but nothing is ever solved. And she's narcissistic. She's oblivious to the trauma she's inflicted. She's this vain old woman. She's 95, but she still thinks of herself as beautiful.
Yes.
And she's always she's writing in her autobiography with this woman. The son. So the son gets this invitation to go down to stay with her, and he's going to document it.
Right.
And the father says to him,
The grandson.
yeah, the
does,
grandson. She invites her grandson to come to stay with him in South Africa, and the father says to him, "Don't let her get her hands on you. She will destroy you. Don't make the mistakes that I made. Be careful. Keep your wits about her. She is evil, and she's always just be on your vigilant because So you don't really quite understand what's going on. He goes down to document her, and she's sort of flirty with the grandson, and at a certain point she starts crossing all these boundaries, and she starts thinking of him as like a lover, and she's fallen in love, and she has a crush on the grandson, and she's like, that you don't think of me just as your grandmother, you think of me as something more, and you get the feeling that maybe she was molested by her father. There's this whole weird dynamic where everyone keeps saying this is inappropriate, you cannot treat your grandson like this. You cannot be like this with your grandson. It's very strange. The whole documentary is very upsetting.
Stop for a second. Is there any spoiler alert necessary?
No, there isn't. I'm not going to tell you, but nothing is ever really resolved, and it's very frustrating because this woman she's manipulative. She's completely unself-aware of the effect that she has on people. Everyone is obsessed with her. She is just sort of...
Is she charismatic in some way, then? Or?
She's just an old 95-year-old woman who's very sort of bitter and old. And
But she probably has some mental disorder that can be diagnosed now or something,
probably,
right?
yes. Well,
that has wreaked all this havoc on her family.
All this havoc, and everyone is obsessed with her, and yet she sort of is just blithely going, and then by the end she sort of has dementia, and there's never any resolve that can happen with this family. But it's interesting because you see all this of her modeling back in the 1940s and 50s. And
what time of day did you watch this?
I watched it last night at like 2 a.m.
How did you feel in the morning?
It
sounds really upsetting.
It's very upsetting, and it's I started watching it because in the ad she's wearing an Oscar de la Renta necklace that I have.
See, I got led down the path for a second there when I was like, "Oh, a model who abandoned her children," but it's really
very
serious
very
topic.
serious. Yes, so it's a family affair, and not with Buffy and Jody.
Currently streaming on Netflix. And so, by the way, is Dancing Queen.
That's called a recurring. That's a
A
callback.
leitmotif.
Oh,
yes.
that's right.
Number 2.
Number 2, another podcast for you, Rachel Maddow. Who I'm addicted to Rachel Maddow.
You
show.
love Rachel Maddow. You're obsessed with Rachel
adore
Maddow.
Rachel Maddow. I am somewhat obsessed. I am actually obsessed, and I think that in this kind of tsunami of craziness, listening to her show is a way that I can really feel I get to grips with what's happening, because she really takes on it all and connects the dots of things. I listened this morning to some NPR and I think, what the fuck are they talking about? It's like, it just feels old the moment it comes out of their mouths. It feels mushy, uninsightful, with lacking in content. Whereas Rachel Maddow, really, she has the details, she has the facts, and she joins the dots. I mean, she has a brain unlike any other brain, I think.
And interestingly, this podcast, she takes on things from history. It's not
Right.
It's not the current things that are
But
happening.
I mean, I am beginning to feel I'm trapped in some sort of nightmarish experience of political history, because I swear to God, I am not a political person. I never have been. I couldn't have been more uninterested in politics all my entire life.
We've all
until
been
now.
forced in the last few years to become
to
political people.
see the parallels, because
Yes.
if we don't know our history, we are doomed to
I
I
used
learned
to
more
say
about
it.
the Nazis and more about Nixon and Watergate.
And
than
you are
in
getting
my
a crash
entire
course in
life.
American history,
Absolutely.
I believe. Yes.
And Bagman is an amazing series,
Uh-huh.
all about Vice President Spiro
Agnew.
who-
Bagman.
who's the Bagman. So called, I guess, because amongst his many other things, he would take bribes and was in receipt of
He
tens
was
of
a
thousands
character,
of
boy.
dollars in the basement of the White House.
Who was he VP under?
He was an actual
Nixon.
Richard Nixon. And he got fired shortly before Nixon had to resign. You had two criminals. You had a vice president and a president who were criminals. And the other thing about this guy that makes him so relevant for today, and that's why I think unlike, say, the Bill Clinton impeachment, which is done by slow burn, this is so good because it does draw the lines and distinctions and the comparisons with today.
Good.
Is the fact that Pence, yes, but also just the sort of the unashamed bribery and corruption. And Spiro.
I like Spiro.
I think in England we say Spiro.
Well, you say aluminium, and what was you said one today?
Envelope,
the one
tomato,
today that shocked me.
tomato.
Oh, and you didn't say androgynous. You said androgyne. Androgyne. What the hell is that? So Spiro Agnew is fine for you.
Here he is, and he was like, he shocked everybody. No one knew who the fuck he was when he became vice presidential pick. And then he went on this tirade. He was the first sort of the enemy of the people guy, haranguing the press and calling him an unelected elite and calling them a virtual monopoly. And he called intellectuals an effete core of impudent snobs. And then people who criticized Nixon, I quite like this one actually, nattering nabobs of negativism.
Yes, nattering nabobs. That was a big thing in the 60s.
That is good. He also said, if you've seen one slum, you've seen them all, which didn't go down particularly well. But again,
he was sort of a Dick Cheney of his time.
People embraced his sort of outspokenness.
Evil,
his evil. They loved the evil.
A lot like Trump, it sounds like.
A lot like Trump. And of course, the other indicator is he was best friends with Frank Sinatra. So there you have it.
Who was friends with Bibi Rebozo? Isn't there some gangster? Anyway, my mind.
Interestingly, he designed and set up a whole bribery system when he was the governor of Maryland, and the authorities were investigating subsequent governor for taking bribes, and then they realized, oh my God, Spiro had created this whole system and carried it with him into the White House. It's a stunning, amazing story. So I really do recommend it. It's called Bagman. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can.
We'll put a link to it on the Wow Report too.
Okay, that's great. Yes. We'll take a quick break. The Queens for RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 4 have just
been announced.
They have. Head over to the Wow Report to see who will be competing for the crown this season.
All-Stars 4, right after premieres, I think the week after the Christmas special. Lots of drag
Holly
race.
Sway.
Christmas comes early.
When we come back, we'll reveal the number one thing.
I'm just crashing. The Red Bull is really doing a number on me.
We got to hurry through. James makes it across the finish line. You've been up all night, James, worrying about the election.
A horrible night,
things
yes.
of that nature. So Wow Report on Radio Andy, SiriusXM.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hey, welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with James St. James, barely, just hanging on. Tom Campbell and Blake Jacobs.
Hi.
We've been counting down the top 10 things that make us go, wow.
Number 1.
We know what the number 1 is, right?
Well, we spent a lot of time bitching and moaning and kvetching about the political sphere. And this week, there was an election. That's not perfect. Nothing is perfect. We're learning that, right? We've taken back the House. The Democrats have taken back the House. There will be some check,
some balance, and some oversight
on the president and the Republican agenda. And that feels good. The fight has just begun. We've only just begun. But I think we have to take a moment to enjoy our victories, not rest on them.
No.
But how do you guys feel?
There's a lot of work to be done. I was very upset because I really loved Beto O'Rourke. I really loved Stacey Abrams. I really loved Andrew Gillum.
Yes.
I felt like they were some fresh new voices. I feel like they were sort of cut off at their knees before it happened. But I do want to say that we did, the first Indigenous woman was elected to Congress.
2 Native women, American women.
The first openly gay person was elected as governor of Colorado.
Yes.
The first Muslim woman was elected to Congress. There was another Muslim woman.
Yes.
So there were 2 Muslim women.
From Minnesota, I think.
The youngest woman ever was elected to Congress.
Right.
The first openly lesbian woman elected, it was mayor of Florida in Florida. And 40% of black men in Florida won the right to vote when they overturned the thing about the felonies.
Yes.
They did?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
convicted felons
good.
can now
That is fantastic.
vote, which
And-
will really change the electorate, I think, down there.
More women than ever, right? In
Yeah. You
And
know,
it's a statistically, it's a small tick up. It's not like it's doubled women, but it's in the right direction. And there was something about, as much as we bitch about Trump and the Republicans, the Democratic Party needs to refocus, regroup, and move forward. We need leadership. And it felt like even Beto and there's certain names and certain people that are now in the consciousness that I'm hoping that there's a future for them. And
Beto 2020.
But here's the thing, though. I wanted Beto, I wanted Stacey and everybody to get that 4 years in, like Hillary did. Hillary went to the Senate.
Course.
Hillary went and did the Senate and then the Secretary. I don't want Beto and Stacey to immediately run for president when they haven't had the experience. And so I don't know what
sets them back a little bit, perhaps.
I don't know what their path forward is, though. I don't think Beto can do anything in Texas because it's.
Maybe it's Congress. Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either. But
don't you
I
feel
hope
like
we haven't heard the last of them.
we woke up, we voted? I mean, the other side did too, but it felt like people were engaged in a way they haven't been engaged, definitely in a midterm election, and we have to keep that going.
Yeah.
And be a little less. I'm shocked about everything that's happening anyway, and it's going to be interesting to see what moves forward. But be more. I feel like we have a voice back because we have the Congress back, and we have to be proactive and create the Democratic Party has to create a vision
maybe
for the
Mueller
future.
won't be buried.
There's a lot of things that won't, like our tax
Well,
breaks won't happen.
Subpoenas are coming.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is the most exciting thing.
And
Because
maybe the taxes.
Yes,
And
because
Maxine Waters.
we just gotta go
And
get
Maxine
him.
Waters and Adam Schiff, our representative, moves up
And
to the
Devin
Intelligence
Nunes
Committee.
is gone.
Yeah. There's some people that we know and love, and I've been kind of critical of, with you, like, where's the leadership? Let's hope they step up, the Democratic leadership. They need to shake loose
Well, I think
and
you make.
inspire
I
us.
understand the point, but I think the Democrats, we face a fundamental problem, which is being about a diversity and a whole range of different voices. That makes it harder to figure out the monolithic leadership. It's so clear under a Trump, where your basic concept is evil, just
And they
do
just are
evil to
lockstep,
people, and
yes.
everybody falls in lockstep behind
Yeah.
them. It's the Democratic Party is a little bit more of a party of different voices.
I will quote the Jackie DeShannon song, Think of your fellow man, lend him a helping hand, put a little love in your heart. I really do think that some message like that, which is corny as shit, but it's true. It's like, open your heart, make a difference, help people, reach out. I want to hear that. Somebody crystallize that and make that a story and a vision that we can all get behind.
There were a lot of really exciting candidates in the Democratic Party, and I'm excited to see where it all goes. So,
And my college friend who I sang with in the Harvard Intonics, his wife Lizzie Fletcher won a congressional seat in Texas.
well, tie it all up in a bow.
No, it's not. I mean, she
Yeah.
worked really hard to make a difference.
Thanks for tuning into the Wow Report on Radio Andy, SiriusXM. You can listen anytime on the Sirius Radio app or watch anytime, and it really is worth watching, on the Wow Report.
On the YouTubes.
On the YouTubes, yeah. Hey, I want to tell you that also Monday, tickets for DragCon LA go on sale.
It's back!
May
back.
24th, 25th, and 26th next year.
God.
Till then, same time, same place next week. Go out and do something that makes the world go
Wow!